Alright, so the reason why you clicked on this video is probably because you're either fearful or you don't want to make a mistake. And look, nobody ever tells me they hired the wrong realtor right in the middle of a deal. They usually tell me after it's over, usually weeks later or sometimes even months. And by then, it's not usually about trying to fix something, it's just trying to seek understanding on why something just didn't feel right. There's a conversation that I have with a lot of people after the fact that usually never happens before they hire an agent. And what's interesting is no one really says this angrily or no one's really just too upset about it. They're usually calm and collected, and they usually say something like this: I wish I would have known this earlier. And it almost always starts the same way. Someone will reach out to me after they've already been through a transaction. Maybe they've just sold their property or maybe they just bought. And they'll say something like this: Hey, Taylor, can I ask you something? And they'll say something like, I don't think my agent did anything wrong. Something just didn't feel right. That's usually how it comes out. And I have a weird sense of humor, so sometimes I giggle. It's not dramatic. It's not confrontational. They're just kind of more disappointed that they didn't really know how to name the thing in the moment. The first thing that people usually tell me in these moments is that they felt rushed with the last realtor. Not pushed, rushed. Like decisions were happening faster than what they were ready for, and maybe they just didn't understand why certain choices were being made in the moment. They'll say things like, well, I just didn't really understand that strategy, or I wasn't sure why we priced it that way. And this is probably the worst one, that I didn't feel comfortable enough asking the questions that I probably should have. And whenever I asked them why they chose that agent in the first place, the answer is always reasonable. Either a recommendation, a friend, somebody that they knew used them, the person just sounded confident, nothing careless. And the second thing that people usually end up mentioning comes later in the conversation. They'll say something like, I just didn't really feel informed. Not ignored and not abandoned, just unclear. And as somebody that's about to sell their house, uncertainty is one of the biggest keys to disaster. They weren't sure what was normal. They weren't sure what mattered. They weren't sure what was negotiable and what wasn't. So they spent their entire process guessing. And when you're guessing in a transaction that involves your money, your timeline, your home, the uncertainty sticks with you. Buyers, they say stuff a little bit differently than maybe a seller would. They say things like, well, I just didn't know what my options were. Or things like, I didn't know that I could actually slow things down. I've heard this plenty of times, that I felt bad for changing my mind. And that one always stands out. Because buying a home is supposed to be about finding the right fit, not feeling guilty for taking your time. And what makes this tricky is, like, none of these things are just too obvious from the beginning. Most agents sound very good in their first conversations. They will literally tell you anything you want to hear just to get you to sign with them. And most people are friendly, and most agents are responsive early on. Keyword there, early on. So people assume this is just how it's supposed to feel. It's not until they talk to somebody else or do it over again to see what they were missing. What people think actually matters when choosing an agent is usually just surface level. Experience, sales numbers, how confident someone sounds, how fast they respond. Those things aren't meaningless, they're just incomplete. What people tell me afterward is that they wish they would have paid more attention to how the agent explained things. Did they feel calmer after a conversation or more stressed? Did they understand the reasoning behind the decisions or just the outcome? Did they feel like they were being guided or directed? Those differences do not show up online and on their social media profiles. You only feel them once you're in. And look, there's also a very emotional cost that people don't talk about. When the process doesn't feel right, they start blaming themselves. They think, well, maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe this is just how real estate works. Maybe I'm being difficult. And that's just tough, because the right agent shouldn't make you feel smaller in the process. They should give you clarity. I have literally talked to hundreds of people that were unsatisfied with their last agent. They never heard from them. They went months without even showings and even being notified about the property. And some of their agents had literally even moved cities and states without even being notified. And I've heard their pain in their voices and desperation for their situations, so I completely understand. The people that feel the best afterwards are not always the people that had the smoothest transactions. Realtors can't always control the curved balls that are going to be thrown at us, but we can control the amount of information that you actually process and understand. They knew why decisions were being made, and they felt comfortable asking questions. They trusted the process because it made sense. That trust did not come from charisma or sales experience or social media followings. It literally came from communication. I was told this by a wise man: if a marriage can have great communication skills, it can be a great marriage. It's kind of the same way in real estate. if your agent is not communicating properly with you, it's really going to cause a lot of tension. So if you're thinking about buying or selling in the near future and haven't chosen an agent yet, that's not a problem. The biggest tip that I could give you is don't be in a rush. It's to slow down long enough to realize how the conversation feels. Do you feel clearer after talking with them, or do you feel more overwhelmed? Do you feel heard, or do you feel handled? Do you understand what's coming next, or are you just being told not to worry about it? I literally had a buyer reach out to me yesterday, and he told me that he's literally been stressing about buying a home for so many years, and just after having one simple conversation with me, it gave him all the peace in the world to move forward. Those answers matter more than people realize. And here's the main point that I want to make. Most people don't hire the wrong realtor on purpose. They just didn't know what to look for yet. And by the time they do, unfortunately, their transaction is over. And look, if you can avoid that part even once, it's worth it. So look, I know Cousin Sally and Uncle Bob have their real estate license, and they've told you many times, if you ever buy or sell, use them. But before you sign the paper and cost yourself thousands and thousands of dollars for a bad experience, consider at least looking at another option to compare apples to apples. So look, I'm not trying to make a sales pitch here, but in the event you don't already have a realtor you're obligated to using, feel free, use the information down below, send me a message. That link will take you directly to my website. All my information's on there. You can send me an email, text message. And really, I would love to have an opportunity to either have a phone call, or maybe we can set up a listing appointment where we can talk about your specific situation and see if what we have to offer makes sense. And at least even if it doesn't, at least you can walk away from that meeting with real value and information on what to do next. Thanks so much again for watching today's video. If you liked it or if you gained something from it, make sure to click the like button, subscribe for more videos, and I will see you in the next video. And of course, if you need a realtor in Northeast Arkansas, my name is Talon with Keller Williams Realty.